Well, I already kind of I blew my load. I blew it all over the place. So I just.
The game was on ice and no one could attack me but you. It's strange what counterspell will make foolish players do. I never dreamed that I'd do a podcast with you. And I never dreamed that I'd lose to somebody like you. And I want to do a podcast. Mumbo, 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 mumbo.
What?
And I want to do a podcast. Mumbo, 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 mumbo. With you.
Oh, it's it took me a while to figure out what, like, even recognize the song.
Yeah.
I wanna fall in love. I don't even know the name of the song or who sings it actually.
This would be Chris Isaac, Wicked Game.
Nope. Wouldn't have got it.
That's all right.
It was a good.
It's been stuck in my head for like 2 weeks.
Nice.
I'm just like, let's do this.
Let's do this. Welcome, CommanderSmiths.
We are the CommanderSmiths.
I'm Adam Smith.
And I am Lowery Smith.
Don't worry.
We're cousins.
Boom. We're moving quick because we just had a 2-hour-long episode and we are double casting, but it's not back to back and fun stuff. This is episode 101.
Woo!
Woo! What are we doing today, Lowery?
I was trying to drink a beer.
No.
We're going to do the top 10 cards from...
Top 10 Commander Cards.
Good call. Good call.
Yeah.
I like it.
Top 10 Commander cards from...
Theros.
Yeah. So we got a nice list. This one won't be in order. We'll just have 10 of them.
And we're also going to be doing our first Cards to Cut, hashtag Cards to Cut segment. Patreon or a patron sent in a dream list for us to kind of say what would we do with the list. We just chose quote unquote 5 cards and then
kind of edit the deck a little bit.
Yep.
Help them out with some cards and some suggestions and stuff. So it's a new segment that we're doing with our patrons to do that, so we can help them out with their decks and all that. So we're testing this out. We're testing the waters.
See how it's going. It's a little different from both of us right now.
But first, you guys can check us out on YouTube
At CommanderSmiths.
We're doing that again.
Oh no,
no.
Okay.
I don't like doing that anymore. At CommanderSmiths. At CommanderSmiths. But yeah, you guys can shoot us emails. That's where you guys can give us song suggestions, all that fun stuff. We have the giveaway still on Twitter.
Cyclonic Rift and some beat up sleeves.
What the hell did we call that? That giveaway was the CS giveaways. Z.
I said that.
Win Lowry's crap is the other one. So that is still going on at the end of the month. You guys can remember it's tweet, like and follow us to be eligible to win. And then what else we got? No new patrons because we don't know because we're double casting.
We definitely could.
We might have some, and if we didn't,
avalanche.
I apologize. That
we'll get you at the beginning of February,
and then we will say you rock.
No, we can't do that. That's not our thing. I don't
you
know why
did
I'm
it the one
chastising
time.
you.
You're the first one that did it.
That was a joke.
Now it's our thing. We'll just
no, it's not.
Let's just start
our
stealing.
thing.
And we.
Hi, this is Jimmy. With
how's it?
We're done.
All right. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, and then we probably have that poll still running about if you guys want us to keep singing, like Lowery, if you guys like that or not. You probably have told us, or we can see the polls. It'd be funny if we have this poll running, and this is 2 weeks later after the poll. And it's like, don't sing anymore. Like there's like 1 vote for yes and like 30 for no.
I'll for sure never go karaoke again either.
So yeah, go to Patreon. That's where you guys can donate to the show, help us get new equipment stuff, help us with the show and all that. And we do random giveaways.
A patron poll of anybody that's giving us money and says, we'll give you money to not sing. How about that?
There we go. And then the free way to support the show, again, is go to YouTube and subscribe to us. The more, the merrier. And go ahead and like some of those videos. More videos will be coming soon because we figured out video. Woo! All right, let's get to the episode, though.
Well, that was really efficient. I don't even know how to... Top.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Top
Well, good job, Laurie.
I'm getting good at this.
Commander
For Theros.
For Theros. So in no particular order, but we are going to start with the lowest one on the totem pole.
Do we want to do any things that we fought for? What did
No.
you fight for that we didn't put on?
Well, I really liked... Well, I wanted to put Euro on here, but we don't
do Legends. So
But I feel like that's a good 99 card and not necessarily...
I want to build with it.
Yeah.
If I get it,
I mean, if
I'm
it's a
building
command,
with
it could be a good commander, but then I also think it can fit in green and blue decks. I also had Erebos on here, but I don't know if that was one of my favorite gods because
That was my least favorite.
well, it fits in a couple of my decks, so that's why I like that one because it fits with Teysa and all that stuff. And then I also had Nylea's Intervention, which you weren't as a big a fan of that one as I
think
was.
there's better options for that. And I went with Farika's Libation, which was a common, but it's mono black dealing with enchantments, which I think is important. Setessan Champion, which can draw cards and plus 1/1 and counter on it.
I think that's good. It was just kind of bleh.
He was pretty meh on it. And then Thassa's Oracle, which I think is going to be crazy. I think it goes right next to Lavinia.
It helps that deck be more consistent.
Which is in over 15,000 decks on EDH Rec. So I think that card's going to be crazy. Used a lot.
So those are your three. Those are my three. Let's get into the actual top 10. Number 10.
The Omens.
Omens.
Yeah, the common cycle of Omens. Like, I feel like I could use them a lot, especially Thassa's and Heliod's. I think I like those probably the best.
And I like the green one as well.
Yeah.
I think
I think
they're all
bad.
pretty decent. Even the black one, you're returning a creature from your graveyard to your hand. That's good. But then you also get to scry with it. I might not use that one as much, but the other three I like a lot.
Yeah, I would agree.
So that is our number 10. I know it's kind of really
Again,
quick.
in no real order.
Yes, we'll name them, we'll number them, but we're just going to kind of go down.
Just to show you that we know how to count.
Yeah. Number 9 is Nightmare Shepherd, and that is we talked about it in the set review, but it's that black demon.
The set review that we just did for 2 hours.
2 hours, which was 2 episodes ago.
Yeah.
But it's 2 black and 2 colorless for I believe it's a 4/4 flying demon, and then it has the ability is whenever your creature dies, you may exile instead of put it in the graveyard. And if you do that, then you create a token copy of that, except it's a 1/1 creature. So we thought that was really good because your commander.
Interaction with your commander, I think is really key.
Because, again, you just say, yep, I'm putting my commander to the graveyard. I'm going to use this ability and exile it. And at that point, you're changing zones again, so then you can put it into your command zone, and you still get the effect of the exile.
Like, I have, like, an image of using this card of, like, making it indestructible, wrathing the board, having a bunch of my own, like, enter the battlefield creatures, like Gary, Great Merchant of Asphodel, and, like, then it comes back as a 1/1, but still, that's probably not as good. But, like, ETB creatures that can...
so even if it isn't your commander, other creatures being able to have...
Seems solid.
The
like,
ETB effect.
I think it's going to be really interesting, really cool card. And I think, 4/4 flyer seems solid.
All right, number 8, Lowery.
Are we just
you just pick a random one. I'll cross it off my list.
I'm going to talk about Shadow Spear.
Shadow Spear, that's a really good card.
Yeah, it just does a lot. And I really like that it's just like, it's an equipment that equips for 2, but
it comes in for 1.
Take away hexproof and indestructible, giving... Like, it feels like a much better but cheaper Loxodon Warhammer that gives, like, trample, lifelink, and +1/+, or like +3/+0. This gives +1/+1, those things. Instead of 3 for 3,
those things.
It's 1 and 2, which seems much more efficient.
This would be a good card without even being equipment. That's the thing. Is it if it was just by itself?
1, and then it's an artifact that you pay 1, get rid of indestructible and hexproof. That would be something I would consider.
Next on the list, number 7, right? Yeah, I'm 7.
No,
well, I'll throw out
6?
there Nyx Lotus.
Yeah,
We're going to try
7.
to save the cooler ones for the end if we can.
6?
Or is it 6? No, isn't it 7? We did
We've
10,
done 3.
9, 8, 7. Yeah, we're at 7. 10, 9, 8, 7.
Fuck math.
I think it's fuck beer is what it is, Lowery.
No, you never do that.
Nyx Lotus, that is the one that comes into play and it's tapped, but then you can tap it to give you choose a devotion color and you get that amount of mana for that amount of devotion. So I think that's just a really good card for 1 and 2 color decks. When you start to get to 3 and 4, definitely not 4, but 3, it's iffy if it's going to be in there, but that's a pretty damn good card. Way to add to the conversation, Larry.
Seems good.
All right, you're number 6, Lowry.
I'm just gonna take it right now. Dryad of
You're a
the
fuckface.
Elysian Grove. You can say your interventions.
No,
that's what you wanted.
That's my favorite.
I'm gonna take your favorite then. So this one is really, really good.
Do you want me to
Moving
add?
on. No, green, 2 colorless, 2/4. You can play an extra land from your hand each turn, and then it changes all your lands into every basic land type. Like,
that's just awesome.
Yeah, I mean, this does a lot of work, and just being able you're getting more and more cards that allow you to put lands into play from your hand, which seems better. Like Azusa being able to.
This goes
Crucible of Worlds.
I'm actually doing something right now. This card goes in cards to cut. This is one of the replacement because then
Are you going to put that in?
Yeah, I mean that just makes more sense. One of my cards I'll take out, but you put that in as one of the cards to cut for what we will be doing the next segment. This for sure should go in there because you get every basic land type, and that helps you with the color fixing for that deck. So boom, that's what I'm doing.
Boom.
Yeah, it's just an amazing card. If you're playing any 2 or more color decks, this is in that for sure. If you have green. I will steal one of your favorites, Nyx Bloom Ancient. This is the...
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, I was like, fuck you, I will get you back. That's number 5, but it's the Elemental that's 3 green and 4, 5/5 trample, and all your mana, or actually anytime you tap any permanent for mana, multiply that by 3. So it's just ridiculous.
It's okay.
Yeah, whatever.
No, this card seems...
Would this be your number 1?
Yes.
Mine would be between this one and the last one, the Dryad. I like the Dryad a lot.
Shadow Spear is somewhere around there too.
Yeah.
For me.
All right, number 4, Lowry.
I guess I take the uncommon.
You know this is
No,
like
I'm gonna
this
go
is like
Hilliard's.
you know what this is like it's like kickball where we're like choosing our teams. Like, all right, well you get first pick. Who do you taking, Lowry?
No, I'm gonna go Hilliard's Intervention. I think it's white X instant. I do really like this card because you can X is destroy target
X
any amount of
enchantments
targets
or artifacts.
Yeah, and just being able to be like, there's not a lot out there that I even want to kill. I'm going to gain double X life.
Yeah.
And try and maybe put yourself out of range. I was in a game last night where I was at 1 forever, like 5
This
turns.
would have helped you.
Yeah, this would have helped me. Or I needed something to destroy artifacts, enchantments that were in play. Like I needed either or. I don't know what I would have done. This would have just been awesome for me.
And the sweet thing about this card is it's an instant. So if somebody would have been like, all right, I'm killing Lowry, I'm going to hit him for 1. You have the instant ability. Boom, pop this out. Nope, I just gained a ton of life.
Yeah.
Double that.
I like this card a lot.
Then I will continue with the other intervention that we like a lot was Thassa's intervention.
Yeah.
That is the blue one where it has the ability of potentially countering a spell with multiply. Your X is ×2 that amount, or it's looking at top X cards and taking 2 of those and putting them in your hand, and then the rest in the bottom of your library. Another instant ability, the fact that you can potentially counter something or get the card draw ability is pretty sweet on that. And that's why I like that card.
Yeah, the flexibility is what I think makes it really
we like those.
key.
All right, number 2. You're thinking. Which
No,
one
I
are you
was
gonna-
like, I had
which
missed
one's
the one.
good on your kickball team?
Which one do you want to talk about?
I'm not going to tell you.
I'll give you this one because I'm nice. I'm going to go with Furious Rise.
I didn't want to choose that one because I'm like, we're doing this all off the top of our head, and we could pull it up, but I'm like, shit, what does that all do? What is everything?
You want to talk about Woe Strider? There's a lot that goes on there. Spoiler.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Furious.
Spoiler. There
Rise.
goes Lowery stealing my thunder again.
Red 2 colorless enchantment. If you have a creature with power 4 or more, you get to exile the top card, and you can cast that until the next time you exile a card.
Yeah, that's
at end of turn. This seems like something that green kind of does, but in a red kind of way, which I really like. Red. This helps red, I think, pretty consistently.
Yeah, for sure.
I like it a lot.
And then the last one on our top
10 Commander cards.
Shit, we're flying.
Yeah,
What is the problem?
is Woe Strider, which is the 1 black, 2 colorless. Oh, let's see if I remember his. Is it 2/4? Is that who he is?
I think it's 3/2.
3/2. But he has the sacrifice a creature, another target creature, and scry 1 ability.
Makes a goat.
Makes a
When it
goat,
comes
so
into
you have
play.
something to sacrifice right away. He also has the escape ability, so you can keep coming back. And then when he escapes,
Making more goats.
he comes in with 2 1/1 counters on him.
Yeah, I think it becomes a 5/4.
Yeah,
Yeah, that sounds right.
it's pretty freaking sweet.
Seems good.
that was
Like,
a
so
sweet top
Viscera
10
Seer
list.
is nice because you can sacrifice itself, but it never becomes a threat.
Yeah,
This later on can become kind of a threat.
and you can keep doing it. They keep killing it. You just keep, if you have the cards in your graveyard to
Sacrifice pointless creatures if this is going to die, and then bring them back with the escape ability.
yeah.
Escapability.
Escapability. Rowads.
That's it. That was a top 10.
That was the top 10.
I feel like
we're going to be like a half hour.
Should we talk about Thassa's Oracle?
No.
God, cards are going to be crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't not want to put it in because it was.
You absolutely did not want to put
I didn't
it in.
not want to put it in, but it didn't tickle my fancy. All right, so we get into cards to
Is
cut.
that what you call it?
Tickling my fancy.
Well, you're fancy.
Yep.
All right.
So
Cards to cut.
who
Hashtag cards to cut.
who sent us the deck?
Derrick.
Who's our first
Derrick.
one? Derrick.
He's our experiment, and we'll see how this goes. He chose Sisay, Captain Weatherlight
we
from
moved
Modern.
into this. Now we can begin this one.
God, we're good at this. Buttons.
I love buttons. I can't wait to change them. You're going to be gone for a few weeks, and I'm going to get a bunch of buttons on here. And then I'm not even going to keep a card so you know which ones are which, and just start
That won't
pressing
be
them.
good for me. So it's white, 2 colorless, 2/2, gets +1/+1 for each other color of legendary permanents you control that are in play. And then you can pay Wooburg to search for a legendary creature of converted mana cost equal to its power and put it directly into play. That's a lot going on.
That is a lot. So I guess first looking at this deck,
It's 5 colors.
5 colors.
That's what Wooburg means.
Yes. Good job explaining that.
Woo.
And why is it
Bird.
Wooburg?
I don't care.
Because white it spells them all out.
We gotta cut this.
Yeah.
Blue. We're gonna be like
Alright.
cheerleaders.
So the first thing looking at this deck, I guess how would you build if you were taking this commander? What would you do? I want to kind of get an
I
idea.
think that's a pertinent question because what I would do and what Derrick did would be different things.
Mhm.
I would be trying to base Sisay's ability and try and abuse that as much as I could,
Right.
paying the 5. And there are some certain aspects in there, but I think there's like a big package that we'll get to
Oh yeah.
that he went with. And so I would probably go with maybe a lot more ramp.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe like mana tappers, because he did have the green-black sword of Feast and Famine.
Yeah.
And that makes sense, but I would probably go with more.
Yeah.
But I didn't do that for cutting, or
Well, basically what
cards.
we kind of did with this is when I first looked at it, I liked the amount of legendaries. Pretty much there's a lot of legendaries. Of course, that's what you're going to do. But the thing that...
I have 4.
yeah. For my, the thing that stood out to me right away when I was going through it was how Derrick has it is more... It almost seems like he wants to cast his legendary creatures, and then that his commander is kind of the secondary ability. Like if... Hey, I don't have anything in my hand to cast. Now I can use his ability and go get a legendary out of my deck. And that, like you said, I would probably, when I first look at the commander, just not even looking at his deck, I was like, okay, this is what I would do. And so it was interesting to go through his deck and be like, oh, okay, so he went a different route. So right away, the things that stood out that needed a little tweaking is he has a few of the elves, the mana dorks, but they're specific to green or white, or there's a black, where you kind of need all 5 colors in this deck. And like Larry, you mentioned, was you need some mana ramp in this deck. Now, one thing, as we just talked about in the last segment, I would actually add Dryad of the whatever grove, Illisan.
Glad you like it so much.
Yeah.
Elysian
Grove.
Yeah.
Because then all your mana turns into every basic mana type. And so you're able to use your commander's ability, your general's ability a lot easier. Anytime you have that, I mean, of course, you have that in here. You could throw in Chromatic Lantern to help with that, because that also turns your lands into all types. Also, what? Well,
it doesn't turn into all types, but it's allowed to
tap for all types. Yeah. Cryptolith Rite might be something interesting to put in here as well.
I thought about that as well, but I was thinking I don't want to be tapping a lot of those creatures.
Yeah, and that's the hard part. You don't hit not a lot of tokens.
So I don't know if I'd go that route.
But definitely I would throw in Chromatic Lantern in here. But basically, on my part of looking at this deck, I removed your Llanowar Elves, Fyndhorn. Oh, yeah. Ow, ow. Fyndhorn, Elves, Elvish Mystic, Elves of Deepshadow, and Avacyn's Pilgrim. And kind of what I added in was a mix of things. I didn't have, like, those were all creatures. I only had Wood Elves and Sakura Tribe Elder. Wood Elves, the nice thing is you go search for a forest, and it doesn't have to be basic. So you can go search for your dual lands. He did have a lot of the shock lands, which is great. That's what you need in here. I also have Farseek, which allows you to look for forest, mountain, whatever. So it's not
not a forest.
Oh, everything.
One of anything.
But forest. Sorry, yeah. So there was one of them I was missing. But so you can go fix your mana a little bit better there. Also threw in Kodama's Reach would be good. And if you really wanted to use a creature, he has Birds of Paradise, which is good. But
I kept birds in.
Yeah, I kept it in too. Yeah. But you could do Noble Hierarch. It's a little more expensive card. It's been dropping because Modern's been dying. But that could be something that you could have in there. It gives you 3 instead of just the green is what Llanowar Elves. But I seriously would put the Dryad from the new set in there. I would for sure have that as
being able to ramp a little bit more.
And it's only 3 to do that. That's pretty good. So that was my first impression looking at the deck. I think adding those in, adding more mana ramp, or just getting it so you can get all colors instead of just being specific to green, I think that'll help be more consistent at getting what you want to do and not get stuck. You kind of had the same idea, but you had some other things. You actually tweaked a little bit more of the land and things like that.
I cheated.
yeah, he's like, hey, let's do 5 cards. And then I was like, okay, this is what I did. And you're like, yeah, I did packages and I did this and I did that. I'm like,
first off, I would agree with what you're saying when you're talking about like Avacyn's Pilgrim, Deepshadow, like, and I put in Farseek, Nature's Lore, and Chromatic Lantern. I think those would be solid changes. Also, so he had like 33 creatures. His CMC average is at 3.58, which is kind of high. So you do want that ramp. And the other thing with a higher CMC average, he kind of, Derrick had 35 lands, and a month or plus ago, we talked about lands, and I prefer 38 lands just for consistency's sake.
Mm-hmm.
And so
36, 36, 37.
I go 38, and so I would cut 3 cards in that package of Manifold, Villainous Wealth, and Llanowar Elves. Manifold's a great, couldn't fault anybody for putting that in there, but if I put it in my deck, I like to abuse it, like untap or gonna be doing it. This doesn't mana fix you at all in a 5-color deck. It just ramps you with colorless, which felt weird a little bit. It might be better than I'm thinking in this deck, but it just feels like it doesn't help with Sisay. It doesn't. And then Villainous Wealth, I'm pretty sure this is in there because it's a super fun card. But it's your opponents, and you have stuff that's benefiting your legends, and they don't have anything that's going to benefit their legends. So I don't feel like it's a good fit in the deck. The card's a ton of fun though, because it exiles the top X cards of an opponent's library, and then you can play those cards for free if they're X and under. Like, the card is fantastically fun.
It's like an opponent Genesis Wave.
Yeah.
Which Genesis Wave is also in this
deck, and totally makes sense in this deck. And so what I would do is I would add in lands like Minimo, School of at Water's Edge, which is a legend, which means you can go and search for it with Captain Sisay, even though it's 5 mana. But you do have cards in here that have tap abilities, and Minimo allows you to pay a blue, tap it, and untap a legend that you have. So like Chulane, you have you just have a couple of legends in here that really could benefit from an untapped trigger. You have Shuzo's Death Storehouse that can give your legends evasion. That's another card that I would add in. And then a last one for a legendary land would be Yavimaya Hollow, which green, tap it, regenerate target creature.
Which helps out protect your commander and everything.
And so these are things that you can go and search out with Sisay. It allows your land count to be a little bit higher. And that's one route that I would go.
Well, I already I blew my load. I blew it all over the place. So I just said mine right away just because I went by how we were doing things, and then Lowery broke the rules.
Did. One thing that he kind of said was no infinite combos.
Yeah. That's good.
No cards over $50. So like, we're not suggesting Gaia's Cradle or
get the actual dual lands.
Yeah. So you don't kind of go that route.
I didn't actually go for the land. I went through his list and I was like, okay, they all look pretty decent. I think maybe adding a few, if you go this route of having mono ramp cards like Kodama's Reach and stuff like that, maybe add a little bit more basic lands in there. Maybe getting, like we talked about in the episode.
You had 5 at this point, if I'm remembering right, and there's no covered.
Yeah. And like I said, with 5 color, I typically will have at least 2 of each, so that should give you 10 basics in there. But I know,
which allows you to play like Cultivate, Kodama's Reach, but without messing with that.
Yeah,
wouldn't necessarily suggest that either.
So I guess that's my suggestion, is adding a little bit more basics so that you can get some more mono ramp with that. And I don't know, what else do you have on your side then?
So another thing, kind of a cool card. So Vial Smasher is whenever you play your first spell each turn, and this is a legend 2/3, black, red, colorless. Whenever you play your first spell, randomly deal damage to an opponent for the converted mana cost of that spell. And the reason why I was thinking this would kind of work within the theme, because he was playing like Sunbird's Invocation, Maelstrom Nexus, Yidris, stuff that like cascaded. And so if you're able to play on other people's turn, Rashmi's in here. So if you're playing on other people's turn, it kind of works within that. You're dealing damage. You're able to pull these other triggers that are already in the deck.
Yeah.
And so I felt like that was kind of because he has like Wrath Caption, Leyline of Anticipation in here. So that allows you to play at instant speed. And I feel like Vial Smasher could just do a bit more damage.
Because you're doing it on other people's turns and everything.
Yeah, exactly. And I would probably cut Lavinia, the new one, blue-white. It's kind of a hateful card because, if somebody plays a spell for free, it counters that spell, and nobody can cast spells for lands that they don't have. I can see that being a good card, like mana ramp,
I
Soul
think
Ring and stuff like that. It
replacing
slows them down.
that because that's a 2-drop.
Yep.
Throwing Thrasios in there.
Yeah.
Because then that
could
helps
be a
you
really
with
good one,
scrying
too.
and getting land as well, getting more land potentially. So you could flip flop those 2 cards if you wanted. They're the same, and that one you'll be able to get no matter if your commander is, if her base is 2/2, right?
Yeah.
So you can.
But
get
it's converted mana cost when you're. Oh, Sisay's is 2.
Yeah. So you can go get Thrasios right away, even if you have no other legendaries on the battlefield. So, I think that would be a good add if you have Thrasios. That works perfect in here for the adding for all that stuff.
Another one that I was considering was Black Blade Reforged. And that's the equipment for 2, comes down, 3 to equip to any legend, and it gives +1/+1 to your creatures for as many land as you have. So you have a ton of legendary creatures that this could equip to, but also equipping it to Sisay allows you to get whatever permanents from your deck that you want, basically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it feels, it turns, even though it's colorless, it doesn't add, it is legendary, so you can go and search for it with Sisay. Like, it just feels like it does a whole ton in the deck that allows you to make it work with the triggered ability of Wooburg. And I would cut Thalia's Lancers, which is a creature that comes into play, and you can search for any legendary permanent, I believe.
It's a little bit of it's a permanent, because I think that you can go get, that went up in price when Planeswalkers got changed to adding legendary.
And so, that's a good point. So I just felt like Black Blade Reforged turns into a win condition along with a searching condition, and Thalia's Lancers was just a searching condition with like a blocker. It's still 5 mana, and I was trying to kind of lower the curve a little bit as well with 5 down to 2 with a 3.
Yeah.
And then my last one would be adding Heroes Podium, which probably raises the CMC a little bit, but that's 5 colorless, and all of your legendary creatures gain +1/+1 for each other legendary creature you have.
That would work well together.
And then you can pay X, tap it, look at the top X cards, and put a legendary creature into your hand from that. So it gives you a little bit of draw, gives you a big pump, helps out Sisay in being able to dig for more, or not dig, but put more creatures into play that really benefit the deck. Again, it is colorless, but probably going to be giving it more than +1/+1 from this deck.
One thing that's kind of, we talked about it before the cast, but I was thinking, Planeswalkers, I would have a little more Planeswalkers. You made a good point. You're like, well, you do that at instant speed and you do it on other people's turn. You can't use the loyalty ability because it's on their turn.
Yeah, so
one thing that kind of triggered as we were just talking now is you could go for some of the War of the Spark ones that have the static abilities on them.
And he did have that in there.
Yeah.
He has the Teferi, Ashiok,
Yep.
and Narset. So those are great to just like, you're going to draw 3 cards on your turn, bring in Narset, you get to not.
So that's what I would say. You could potentially add some Planeswalkers that have the static abilities would be kind of sweet because you get that.
Yeah. I would end up cutting Ajani Unyielding, which was like a 6 mana green-white. And it's doing very similar things because Ajani gives counters. It looks for the next creature on top, whereas Heroes Podium is pumping all of your creatures and still looking instant speed, very similar to Sisay. So they're similar cards, but I think, and again, Heroes Podium is legendary, so could be tutored up as well from Sisay. And same thing with the Planeswalker. So I tried to find something a little bit more efficient and similar to what the card I was trying to take out was doing.
Way to cheat, buddy.
So I did more than 5. I would agree.
No, I think it's good. It was good that we both did this separately and ended up kind of doing the same thing, taking out the similar stuff. If I was personally making this deck, I would take out all of the cards that are allowing you to play on other people's turns. Because I would try to use your general as her ability as much as possible. One thing you had mentioned is you'd probably put in a little bit more protection stuff to protect her from getting killed.
And that's why Yavimaya Hollow got put in. Like, I would like dense foliage here to protect against any spot removal.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe it's not as important because you're not solely relying on Sisay. Like, you're doing the random...
Which is an interesting... I like that idea.
Yeah.
Just being like, hey, it's a secondary thing.
Yeah. And like Ramos, Dragon Engine in here seems like a great card that he has. Like, and that can ramp a ton. But I've built a Ramos deck knowing like if your CMC is too high, maybe you're only putting like 2 to 4 on there and you're not able to abuse that trigger. So you got to be a little bit careful about that too. So, and maybe he has a certain line that he goes for. Like Sisay comes down and I go and search for this, this, and this. Turn, X amount. So there are lines of play that we might be missing, but I think it's very beneficial. And I hope that in the future we don't just go work on your land. That's what I'm a little bit worried about. But I think ramping, with the Farseeks and cards like that, because you do have Sky Shard Claim that is very similar, but your CMC is already pretty high, so it might already be beneficial to go a little bit lower to try and ramp into that already.
Sweet.
So I hope that helps.
So we just got a text from a listener for an ANL question.
Oh, good call.
I
didn't get a text.
Listener Ivana Humpalot writes, Dear Lowery and Adam, what is the worst injury you have ever had?
Worst injury?
Worst injury. I can start since I
have a feeling I know what you're going to say. Maybe not.
Which one? I don't know.
Teeth in your head?
No, that wasn't. I
thought that was...
My worst injury was actually...
Are we going with sickness too, or just...
Injury. So mine actually came playing soccer in high school, and I was playing club ball. So like I played soccer all year round, because when you didn't play soccer for school, then you're playing soccer with club, whatever. So anyways, I was going around somebody trying to... I kicked the ball around him and I was trying to run around. The dude stuck his leg out and tripped me. But my body was stuck on, while I was going by, it was stuck on his leg kind of. So when I hit the ground sideways with my arm, like putting my arm out to stop brace my fall.
Okay.
And my arm popped out of socket, but they didn't know if it was out of socket or if it was broken, so they didn't try to do anything. So we had to wait till the ambulance came there. And the crazy thing is, then they gave me laughing gas, and so I went from in extreme pain. And my mom is at the game. She came running onto the field, and I'm just laying there. And they gave me laughing gas.
Modern day drugs.
The weird thing is I'm around my mom, and I'm like, I wanted to be like, I feel like I'm stoned, but then I'm like, I don't want my mom to know that I'm stoned, like know what being stoned is.
Yeah.
So that was weird. But anyways, I get to the hospital. They had to do x-rays. So I had it out of socket for 3 hours. And in that time, the bone was it was on my rib cage, on the side of my rib cage, and it grooved a second socket on my rib cage. So like when my shoulder pops out of joint, it goes to that spot, and it's like it gets stuck there.
Oh.
So I have to have actually somebody grab my arm and start moving it away from my body until it sucks right back in. The good thing is that's only happened 3 other times since I've dislocated it, but it does.
You're talking like 20 years at that point?
And so there's certain movements I can't do with my arm, and part of the reason why I have to like lift weights and climbing is really good for it, because if I don't do that, the muscles get weak and it can start slipping out just randomly, like not even doing anything. So that's my worst injury, because it like still affects me to the point where if it happens again, I'll have to get surgery and they'll have to like attach it so it won't pop out anymore. And then I'll be limited on my arm movement and everything. So that's my worst injury.
Yeah.
What's yours, Larry?
I've never been hurt before.
Oh, bullshit.
What are you thinking I'm going to say?
I don't know. I'm trying to think when you've been hurt.
Just does. It's so.
Are you unbreakable? Are you?
Bruce Willis.
Yeah, good one.
I've had plenty of good ones. think about this.
Good for you.
Just keep bragging. You even have to brag when you get injured. So many good ones.
Are we talking about like cumulative? Could be because I've had
just one injury that was really bad. Well, no, just like I think my brother's worst, and I saw this, is when he karate chopped his own arm in half.
Oh, Jesus. I don't think I've heard that
No,
one.
he didn't karate chop, but he was playing basketball and was diving for a ball, and he slid and his arm hit the wall, like his hand was up and his elbow was on the floor, so it was like at a perfect angle, and the momentum of his head came down and he snapped his arm in half, and it like didn't come out of the skin. It was the grossest thing I've ever seen, but it didn't come out of the skin. You just saw it push the skin as far as it could. Like it was so close to ripping through. Ugh, that was disgusting. I can't handle like breaks, or I don't watch surgery shows or whenever that happens on a movie or something. I'm just like, I like scary movies, but when it comes down to like cutting somebody open and all that, I'm just like, no.
I'll go with like the longest recovery time.
Question mark?
Yeah, I mean, like I have other injuries that just like super linger. Oh, man, that's a good one too. I got a couple.
Say it.
Should I just say multiples?
Sure.
The least interesting, if we could do the two. So drinking in college and middle of January.
Scooby-Doo one?
Oh man, that's a good one too. Forgot about that.
That was a concussion.
Nah, yeah, that's a concussion. Yeah. So at college, and it's some type of party. I'm walking back to my place to get a beer. And one of my buddies from football's outside. It's -10 out, and it's like midnight. And he's in a T-shirt. He had ran back to college from downtown Minneapolis, which is a couple miles. So I let him in, and he's asking for a beer, but he's obviously blitzed out of his mind.
Hammered.
So I said, nah. And he snags the beer from my hand, and I'm like, what the fuck? And try and throw him in a headlock. Strongest guy on the football team. Dude can squat over 500 pounds. Like, dude's really, really strong. And he just shrugs me off like I'm nothing. And I'm pretty drunk too. But he steps over my head to like say hi to somebody he sees down the hallway, and somehow like tweaks my, like I threw my back hardcore.
Oh, I remember you.
Couldn't sit. I just just flat on the ground. People had to carry me to bed. People like stayed in my room to make sure I didn't die. Like I could not walk for a couple, like 2 days. And then Monday starts, and like I would lay down in the middle of class and be like, I am in so much pain.
Did you figure out what it was? Like it was a disc or?
I don't know.
Yeah, it just went away. It was like a tweak basically.
It never really went away.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I still have to like worry about my back. So yeah, that one was pretty bad. Most traumatic one was cutting limbs off my brother's house.
Oh, yeah.
And I had a, pull a chainsaw, which is crazy idea as is. But I'm trimming the tree off of my brother's roof, and my shoe caught on a shingle as I was stepping, and I fell.
They fell off a house. Not many people could say they fell off a house and survived.
I did a backwards somersault off his house, and my brother says like I was sideways, and I just did like a jerk, and somehow turned sideways in that jerk and landed in the rock pit underneath.
Luckily, it was a one-story house.
It was a one-story house.
But you almost
my head
on the
was
fence?
No, not quite a fence, but my head was about less than 2 feet away from the air conditioning unit, and then there's those like those light up things at rock gardens that have like
solar ones, or
yeah, solar ones. So I could have been like impaled by those. I landed in a huge hosta. I got super lucky, and even that luck is like I bruised my hip, bruised my face, and partially tore a ton of tendons in my wrist because I just apparently thought I could land on one hand.
That's what I did with soccer. For some reason, that one hand's going to stop it.
And so it took me, again, I'm an idiot, did not go into the doctor for a month because I was like, I know what it is. It's a partially torn ligament. Don't move it. Put it in a brace and stuff like that. Wrapped it up. Swelling did not go down for a month. I was like, oh, maybe I'm fucked. Went in there. They said all the things. They put me in a cast for a month. And then all of my masturbation work went away. My arm got real small after that. And it took probably a year before like the sharp pains went away.
Jeez.
And stuff like that. You know, I'm painting. I'm left-handed, and that's where it was. And so it hurt a whole ton. So that was probably my biggest one.
Yeah, that's pretty big. Falling.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people can say they fell off a house.
It was just like traumatic of just like, it is that like fast, like I'm going to die. I'm doing a backwards somersault
Did
off
that
of
fall
a roof.
like just go forever?
No, it was super fast. Super fast. I just did like a jerk somehow, like not my life, my life didn't go through my brain or anything. It was just like, don't land on your head. And I said it probably 6 times. Don't land on your head. Don't, and just
really quick. Yeah.
You're jerking, trying to
Jeez, you got that off too. Midair.
It's
don't land on your head. Jerk.
It's a skill. So, but yeah,
I'm not gonna be able to use this arm for very long once I land.
Post up, boom. That was my strong arm. So I got really lucky on that. But yeah, that pain lasted for a while.
I will have to say one thing. This didn't happen to me, but this recent, the most gnarly injury I've seen was working on our house, which again, it's not complete yet, guys.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But my stepmom's brother was helping us throughout the summer. We had a circular saw that kept catching, like the safety wouldn't come back, and we actually ended up buying new ones, and that one we like got rid of. It was just like as a emergency one. Well, that day it had been raining, everything's flooded. That was the only one that was available to him at that time. So he takes it out, and I knew it was sticking. So I, whenever I cut with that saw, I'd wait until it stopped spinning, or I'd kick sometimes the safety would come back. Sometimes it wouldn't. If it didn't come back, I'd push it manually back or wait till the blade stopped. Well, I guess he didn't realize that one was sticking, and he just cut a little piece and then brought the saw down, and it caught his pants and just ripped open his leg.
Oh my God.
And that gash was probably, probably 10 inches across.
Yeah.
I think he had like 17 stitches in, and like, I just heard him. He yelled my dad's name. He was like, Doc. And I like knew right away because he had just been sawing, and that sound, he never said it that way. And I turned around and he like looked at me, and he had jeans on, moved his pants, and it looks like
a meat slab.
It did. It looked like something like fake. And it was like right around Halloween. It looked like something you'd see like somebody putting on a costume. It was just open. And I was just like, oh my God. Luckily, he didn't hit any arteries. It didn't bleed much at all. It just looked like a fish was cut open.
Super lucky. The funny thing is like, I had my nephew working with me for a couple of months. And for a couple of weeks, knowing that he was going to switch over and start working with you, I was like, be super careful. What I'm doing is really easy. You just need to know what you're doing. There, you can fricking kill yourself. Like, be really, really careful.
And that was his second day there.
You need to watch second day there.
Second day.
And I was like, so how's working with that? Dude got cut by a saw.
Yeah, I had to tell him, like, because my dad had to put him in the car. Like, I first called the ambulance, and my dad's like, no, let's cancel the ambulance. I'm on the phone with him, and he's like, no, I'll get him in the car and I'll drive him there. So my dad drove away, and then Brandeis is our
nephew.
He's just like, I'm like, dude, that isn't a normal thing, just so you know. I know this is your second day, but
it can happen.
All right. Well, we stretched that out. That was good. Good job. Midway through the episode, I was like, I got to think of an ANL. I got that text from Ivana Humpalot, and I was like, perfect timing.
I didn't know you had a side piece.
All right. So that should do it. Guys? We will catch you guys next week.
Thanks for listening.
What do you want me to do a little different? You're like saying it in a question mark.
You were saying it like a question mark.
I mean, is that how we're going to end it? I don't know what's happening. You'll be back from Arizona, so that'll be good. And then
good luck to everybody on their pre-release and any box or pack openings.
Which we will be doing battle boxes because we have video again. Shoulder bump. I don't know. All right, we will catch you guys later.
Thanks for listening.
See ya.